what we're going to talk about this week is something that is super powerful and is improving every single day, which are the mobile-enabled features nowadays in almost every smartphone you get. In other words, there's huge push for innovation and creativity and design from every big manufacturer, from Apple, HTC, Samsung, Sony, and LG, and all these other guys. In other words, they know that by introducing new features that are built into the phone, they might just make it to attract young developers around the world to build apps for those features, right? And so once you build up something that is quite exciting, you almost create a platform for the others to build up on. And that's what a smartphone is. A smartphone is a technology and a platform that allows, and is strong enough, that allows others to build up on it. It's very good. It's that good that it allows anyone to build things that are going to be quite attractive for the marketplace. So that's what a smartphone is. Now, in terms of other businesses, if I can give you another example, it would be, for instance, eBay for e-commerce. eBay is a platform that works super well, enabling all these other businesses to sell in there. So it's a platform for buying and selling services online, products and services online, right? So in other words, the mobile is the platform that works really well to sell services and products through that smartphone technology. So what we're going to do today, we're going to look into some of these features and the importance that these features bring into the marketplace. But in addition to that, I'm going to try and show you some videos of people who review some of these apps, and they've really taken on board some of the features that are built into the phone, right? And so, something that you will also be looking into while you do your research. In other words, you will be exploring what's built in your, or in specific smartphones, right? And how can you use that technology, right? Or, if you're not going to do something about it, you're going to review how others have used this piece of technology to create something amazing, right? So you'll be quite critical to looking at big brands, from Topshop to ASOS to Apple to eBay to Amazon and so on and so forth, as to how much and how fast they're adapting to the new features built into the phone, which in general improve what? Our experience that we have while using these services. So that's why some apps that you've got into your phone are so successful, because you are promoting those apps for the brand for free. And why are you doing it? Very simply because they give you a fantastic experience. The reason why you use Uber, for instance, how many of you used Uber apps? Yeah? The reason why you use that is because it gives you such a good experience with a very good dynamic pricing that you're going to be talking to your friends about it. In fact, you're going to get them to download it. And you haven't received a penny from Uber, apart from some of those promotional codes that you may get from time to time by sharing it with your friends. Now just think about this for a second. Once you're able to deliver a fantastic, unique experience for the user, what's going to happen? The user will do the job for you, right? They will promote the product or service for you. If we go back a bit, 2007, 2008, those 2 years, when the first iPhone came out, Apple didn't actually do much of a promotion anyway. But the product was so good that people did the advertising and the marketing for Apple. Same case with the iPod. Even back in 2000, 2002, right? They didn't do much of advertising. They started doing it when the competition was catching on, but they didn't do it in the beginning. because the product was very, very good. In fact, from time to time, I had some of my friends who started to criticize some of us, some other groups of friends of ours, extended, that we were just promoting Apple for free. Because as long as I remember, I've been a Mac user, so for me, it's always been about Mac computers, Apple. Of course, I tend to prototype and experiment with other devices, but that was, in a way, my world, right? And they were criticizing us from time to time as to how much we were promoting these products. And in some way, they're right, because we were doing it. We were not aware that we were doing it. But that was because the experience that technology, that hardware, right, gave to us was so good that you had to talk to someone else about it. And that's why, going back to this, these features are so much researched about. So R&D, research and development, billions are spent from largest players in the marketplace, from Samsung to Apple and the others, to try and come up with the best unique features only enabled in those phones. So then, companies like Google with its Android phone will actually enable and integrate those features in the operating system. Remember, the operating system is that layer, that tech layer, that software layer, the cream on the top, right? To actually promote those features into their own system, so then young developers can build up attractive, innovative mobile apps, right? Now, this is when things can get quite exciting. When you start to look at what are the features embedded into the phone, and what are other brands doing with them, you'd be surprised that in general they're not actually very much used, right? Because what you see in general, you see companies building up mobile versions of their websites, and that's as far as it goes in general, right? But there are a few companies here and there who are going all in, investing lots of time, lots of money to try and build up that mobile experience that integrates all the features built in the phone to the best possible experience so far, right? And there are several apps, and now I'm going to show you a video of the guy that reviews some of these apps that actually looks into some of those features. And the reason why that gets exciting, because you stand back from the business perspective and you just say, what happened if a business offered something like this specific service or product through their app for the specific audience using the enabled features into the mobile phone, into iPhone or an Android phone or whatever it is, right? So you start to think quite creatively on the business users, on the consumer side of things, right? And also then how you can serve a better experience to the end user because you came up with some idea, right? So you look at what's available out there, you study the consumer, right? And in the middle you've got the business, the product that the consumer uses, and then you start to say, how can I introduce something to provide a better experience for the end user? Yeah? So, some of the features that we'll look into, and some of those that you'll be reading more around them. And again, we can't really cover all of those things in a single lecture, but it's something that you will need to expand on. So, starting from the multi-touch, force touch now with the iPhone, but of course you've got all sorts of other features built in the other phones as well. But we're looking at some of the most popular ones. NFC, near field communication, which is pretty much in almost every smartphone. Most smartphones nowadays are in there. Location, GPS, almost built into every single phone that enable what? Enable the user to talk to the company and tell them where they are at a specific moment in time, so then the company can serve them with a better offers and better marketing material. Right? On the other hand, voice recognition, quite powerful and quite interesting as a feature. And the reason for it is because with the mobile phone, the research suggests that because we are on the go all the time, we won't be able to just look at it every single time, even though we do. But sometimes when you drive out and then you start to look at how much people use phones while driving, you get quite scared, okay? And you wonder why there is, why we're this safe in the traffic. Actually, it's quite surprising because huge amount of people use their phones while driving. But back to the actual topic, when you start to look at these devices, voice recognition becomes very important because it brings in something that requires us to do absolutely nothing apart from touching a button in here and then getting this thing to do some work for us. So why that is important is because it's a virtual that we call until now. It's a virtual assistant, but this one is like a personal assistant. It's doing quite clever things for you. It's not there yet. It's not there yet, but it's doing quite clever things for you, right? Because it's pretty much doing all those things without you much interacting with this thing, right? Which means that very soon we will be able to get this device to do things for us without touching, but not just that, to be able to improve our daily lives and have a better life because of this. Whereby this becomes a personal assistant, not someone that will have to touch to get the work done. In the web, we call this virtual assistant. Where you went to the website, in fact there are still lots of websites out there, where you get your virtual assistant to do stuff for you. To pay your bills, to go and collect the cleaning, right, for you. Go and do some shopping for you. Because you're a very busy guy, and the virtual assistant will go and do the work for you. Once the work is completed, you pay that through the actual platform. Very soon, that's going to happen across this mobile phone. Now think about wearables. Think about, smartwatches that work with these devices, right? So in other words, you're not even going to touch this at all. You're just going to be talking to probably your smartwatch. You're just going to say, by the way, I just realized that I haven't paid for my car insurance. Can you please make sure that you pay my car insurance? Because it's actually, it was valid until 3 days ago and I won't be able to drive my car if it's not done yet. Boom. And before you even realized, and you actually gone into your car, that work is already done. Right? Now, if you go back behind the scene and you wonder why that's happening, how possible is that? It's not because of this device or that smartwatch, whatever it is. It's because everything behind the scene, including this, works super well together. Where you've got Internet of Things, right? Because this is a smart watch, connects this service with other web services out there, with your own bank account, with your insurance database, and connects so fast to the point that it talks up to the server and says, by the way, Hiram wants to extend his own insurance, so please make sure that this is done. The server talks to the actual Apple service, and the Apple service talks to this device and it says, okay, go ahead, and it's done. And all I get is a confirmation, boom, telling me that the work is actually done and I'm safe and I'm okay to go and drive the car. Right? So imagine how much work we ended up doing ourselves before that. I mean, we still do that, but like, you've got to go online, you've got to compare, and you've got to do all that. And then maybe, hopefully, after you're talking on the phone with your insurance company, hopefully after some point, you'll get a deal that suits you and then you'll sign up for it. Imagine all of that will be done while you're talking to the actual device, and in addition, not long from now, that device is going to compare even the prices and everything for you. Because all you're going to do, you're going to say, find the best car insurance in the marketplace and then sign up me for it. Or find the best car insurance in the marketplace and give you only the top 3 for me. And the virtual assistant, now personal assistant designed to you, that knows you very well, will go in the marketplace, go all through those comparison sites, and then bringing you the top results. So, the big question comes now. Are these apps installed on the phone going to be the future? Right? Are we still going to have apps? Can a phone do without an app? Right? Very, very big questions, but they require lots of thinking. Simply because things like personal assistants might change the game. Yeah? Nowadays, if you can get Siri to do stuff for you, I wouldn't go in SMS. I tend to go, maybe. But in general, when I text my wife and other people around, very simple messages, I might check, but actually I just use it and then it's gone, it's done. Now that's a very simple task. But if I use that all the time, I would probably not need to have necessarily a mobile app for it. I could just view a conversation somewhere. I don't have to have an app for it. I could just say to Siri, can you please show me my conversation with my wife in the last week or so? And you scroll down, pick up the message you want to look into, especially when she's giving you a strict order to buy something and you forgot. Yeah? So you look into those things and you just say, okay, now really I could do without that one easily. Yeah? So I think that's why we need to look very much and criticize, but also start to think about how things are going to go with all of these new emerging technologies. Now with the Mobile Congress in Barcelona every year happening, I strongly recommend follow up what's happening. You've got to know what's happening. You've got to know also what are some of those prototype and technologies that are being introduced in the marketplace. Whatever is being introduced as a smartphone technology is going to be introduced first in Barcelona. So the world's largest conference in the world on mobile technologies. Yeah? So, voice recognition could actually change the whole game. In fact, voice recognition could, and I'm not saying it will, it might, I don't know, we'll see, but actually could cut all the app thing together, all together. But it's got to be really good, it's got to be excellent. Imagine now, when you bring in artificial intelligence, what's going to happen? Right? Now you're really going to have some scary, sometimes, but also exciting thing coming along, which embedded into these technologies might really bring in something quite amazing. Now, we've got QR codes in there. It didn't go mainstream, it's being used here and there, but really it's not a sort of like a feature that was somehow used that much. But of course, Google is also looking into virtual reality, all sorts of other things as well, which can actually be quite a game changer as well. Now, motion sensors into the phones, right? They are the feature that are there from the beginning. From the beginning of smartphones, we have those. And you might wonder, okay, they might not be the most exciting thing, but actually it's quite clever, and as a technology alone, help us to do all sorts of things. Now, motion sensors that are built into the phone help us to find the orientation on the phone and quickly as we move it around. Now, you might then wonder how much this feature alone built into the phone is actually used by businesses. How much businesses are benefiting from this feature, and if so, why they're doing it and what they're doing with it. Which is when the research comes handy, right? We start to look at who's doing what. And then you get quite surprised to learn that even some large brands do very simple things with a very smart phone, with this very smart technology, right? And then, when you really get on top of this, you'll be like, wow, you guys are behind. You wish you could talk to the CEO and just say, look, you're really sleeping. Because there's a lot more you can do with it, and you're not. Right? So, but it becomes very exciting because, in fact, that could be your next job. You could be a consultant, that could be your role. To research, find out, provide recommendation reports, that could be your work. You pick up a company, do a bit of market research, prepare recommendations, go in front of the executives and just say, this is what you should be doing. And in fact, if you want to go one step further, you can actually set up your own agency and start building up mobile apps, right? Because you can bring this new ultimate idea. Now, they are important for many reasons. Gaming is always there. Gaming because it's entertaining, because it's going to be so engaging that you will never let your phone down until the battery dies. And that's how some of those games are. And because they are fully, and I mentioned this before, they are fully embracing all these features to the point that you get so immersed into the game that you're like, wow, this is so cool. Right? Orientation, and we talked about this, it helps you to orientate yourself. You know, GPS, directions, everything else. Usability. Usability is essential. Now, usability is quite important for many reasons, because in general, when you start to do research, you'll start to realize that many brands consider the phone just a smaller screen of a desktop website, right? That's how they see it. But in general, it's a totally different animal altogether, totally different device, different technology. Entertainment is a really powerful one. From smartphone, from the gaming to the film, movie industry, and everything else. It's really powerful. Marketing. How much of features are used into marketing approaches for every single brand out there, right? You remember a while ago, Apple started iAds, right? Where we started to promote some of those ads in top of the screen, right? But now, those ads are a lot more engaging, right? In fact, those ads are quite interacting as well, because they show up, you click on that, you tap, and then you maybe download another app from that single game that you're playing at that moment in time, right? And that's quite attractive. So, where we got to? Well, MIT and Georgia Tech researchers were able to use an iPhone as a keylogger to spy on someone using a regular computer nearby, right? But researchers concede that the likelihood such an attack will succeed with today's technology is low. But that's changing. This was done a few years ago. We could argue that's almost there now, because of all these new features built into the phone. From a smarter camera, force touch, right? All these very clever sensors built into the phone. You wouldn't be surprised that while I leave my phone here, and an app, a malware app is installed in here, it can probably pick up what I'm doing with it, right? Okay, so there's so many things that can happen because of that. Now, this is when things, with every new technology, challenges come with it, right? Like we've had with email, social media nowadays, mobile, everything else, it comes with challenges. But again, we will then need to deal with it as we move along. It's part of the process. These guys came up with this app, but actually the app looks and scans and organizes the information it gets from the amount of time you move into bed, because when you move into bed, you're actually not sleeping. The deep sleep is when you're actually not moving, but just laying down in bed, according to research. So these guys are saying that we will wake you up when you're moving around, so then you're in a light sleep, you're not in a deep sleep, which means that it's easier for you to wake up. We will also be able to tell if you're having a good sleep overnight. Because not having a good sleep, we know what happens. Day ahead of you is going to be very hard, very difficult, unless you have got your backpack full with Red Bulls, right? So, that's why, you see, it's a lifestyle type of lifestyle type of app that really embraces these features. So then, it sort of starts to improve maybe a little bit about your lifestyle. Now think about health, right? Think about the pairing now of smart wearable devices with the actual phone. The heart rate, the pulse, everything else, right? They can report back to the device, which then the device will report back to your local GP. So automatically the GP will know if you're having health problems or not. In fact, you haven't actually done anything. All you've done is charge that wearable watch or charge that smartphone, and the smartphone has actually done it for you. Again, going back to that personal assistant I talked to you about. Now, this is more than personal assistant. This is definitely someone that looks after you. In fact, more you use it, it gets better. And that's where some of these smart technologies are going. Now, the multi-touch, of course, is this a touch screen? You can't really talk about anything on the web now if you don't talk about pets and cats and dogs and so on. So the reason why the multi-touch is important, because it's very intuitive, it's interactive, it's easy to use, and we know that was one of the biggest breakthroughs in the smart devices. It's very responsive, it's very intelligent, so you can just pinch it from your pocket. You really have to bring up and then use your fingers for that. And of course, it's very intelligent, no limitations, keyboards and mouse and so on. Now, location-based systems are also quite important because, again, location-based services for the very first time give a clear picture to the business that's trying to serve you, something that they've been missing for a very long time. Until now, they've had all the information they need about you thanks to Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and other social networks. Now, they also know where you are at a very specific moment in time. So then they can come back to you and they can give you specific deals, specific offers, because now you're just walking by Nando's. And by the way, you're walking by Nando's, you're a regular customer, why don't you pop in, we'll give you 25% discount because we're pretty much empty. It rarely happens, but you know, they can turn on even that time of the day when they're not busy into real business, and that's what they're trying to do. That's what the airlines do, that's what lots of other businesses do, right? They try to improve the footprint into their business, so then they use every single minute of their open time to make money, right? And now for the very first time, that is something that is being offered to business as well, thanks to the local apps that are installed into your phone. Now again, as I said, deals, check-ins, demographics, and there's so much more now that we can do thanks to the amount of information we have. And the information is the currency of digital economy. And now businesses have got all those information around you and the behavior that you are going through within your own everyday life. Yeah? Often do location-based services use check-in? Now we don't actually check in anymore, very little, but of course the app behind the scene does all that work for you. So again, sometimes we actually do ourselves check-in because we are with friends, but nowadays, as I said to you, very soon we won't need to do that. As soon as we step into a restaurant, the application of that restaurant, of that brand, will know that we're in there, and then will start communicating with us. It'll start letting us what are the changes in the menu, whether we're getting a discount, and how many of our friends have visited last time, and why you should try this new recipe. Right? So there's so many clever things that can happen now because of the information that we've got. Now, of course, these are some of the data that come in terms of how often we check in. What types of coupons do users prefer? Well, email in general is still very powerful, badges, SMS, and of course geofencing as well, but you can start to see that email is still powerful, but actually if I can get notifications and discounts and coupons, whatever you want to call them, I would rather have them straight away in the app that I'm using instead of having to go into an email. But in fact, you start to realize now, even those popular, very well known, for instance, food chains, actually their mobile apps are very poor, right? And very simple. They might do one or two things, but actually very, very limited. And you wonder how much they can do. And again, as I said to you, if you became very passionate about this, that could actually be your own business. Technology that will impact LBS, of course, that was a few years ago, according to some of the research from socialwind.com. But of course, there's so many other things. Augmented reality, near-field communication is having a huge impact, because nowadays the phone is becoming a wallet. Again, we're moving towards a phone that becomes our personal assistant. Because now it's wallet as well. Okay, very soon that's going to become probably passport. Okay, but of course make sure that you've got enough battery, otherwise you're not going to be traveling anywhere. Yeah, but again, this is just where we're going nowadays. Okay, and before we realize things are going to happen, the only problem with some official documents and things is because it's government, it takes a long time for things to happen, right? And because it's a government, they need to prove everything. Because it's a government, everything needs to go for parliament. And because it's parliament, everything, or some key people needs to agree, and so on and so forth. So everything takes a lot more time. Location-based services and some of the key issues, privacy, stalking, that, can happen. Not enough deals, coupons, that's what people say. Mobile phone battery drain. So when you got location-based service on, you know that it's going to eat your battery. Okay, and before you realize you'll be from 70% to like 20% very quick, which is the biggest challenge with the batteries nowadays. Companies plan location deals that did in 2011, but that's changing. Now we've got a lot more companies doing location-based offers. Voice recognition, we talked about this earlier. I'm not going to get into detail, but I can just remind you that this was a while ago. It's not now. It was a while ago.
Read me the message.
And imagine how much this has
Message
improved.
from Sebastian. Great news. We got the go-ahead. Can you meet in 10?
Reply. Definitely. I'll see you there. Play my running mix.
What's the traffic like around here?
Here's the traffic.
Text my wife, I'm gonna be 30 minutes late.
Is it going to be chilly in San Francisco this weekend?
Not too cold. Maybe down to 61 degrees in San Francisco.
What about Napa Valley?
Doesn't seem like it.
How many cups are in 12 ounces?
Let me think. Okay, here you go.
Set my timer for 30 minutes.
Okay, 30 minutes and counting. New notification from...
So, I wanted to show you that. That was just the beginning. Now it's a lot better, but imagine what's going to happen next. Again, that's the direction we're going to, and that is really very much changing the whole game, the whole industry. Mobile visual search, Google is doing that, has been doing that for a while. So you can just take a picture of things around you and then search using that image. QR code is still somewhere, again, didn't really go mainstream, but we'll see what happens.